All right, so let's do division of complex numbers. Let's say you have 3 plus 2i divided by 7 minus 4i. And then the trick to do this, we don't want a complex number in the denominator. We want to simplify this. And then we want to have at the end in this terms, a plus bi. So not a plus bi divided by like a prime plus b prime I. So we want to get rid of this. To get rid of this, we're going to multiply by conjugate of that. What is conjugate of that? We're using the technique, it's called difference of squares, factoring, and then which you get factoring techniques, but you get difference of squares at the end, like this one. For example, we had this before from early multiplication of binomials, a plus b times a minus b. If you FOIL it, I'll go to the basics. If you FOIL it like that, a times a squared, a times b is going to be negative ab. B times a is again positive ab. B times b is, there's positive times negative, it's going to be negative b squared. If you look carefully, these two cancel. Negative ab plus ab is 0, and you're going to get a squared minus b squared. So this is called difference of squares. So difference of the subtraction because of that difference of squares to the second power. So when you have a plus b times a minus b, do you see that there's a different operation? You get difference of squares. You get a squared minus b squared because this middle terms cancels. So we're using that technique here to find the conjugate of this. Conjugate is the other complex terms that when you multiply them together, you use this difference of square method, and that helps to get rid of the I here. What is the conjugate of this? So I'm going to multiply this by, I'll put different color. I'm going to multiply by conjugate of the denominator, 7 minus 4i, and it is 7 plus 4i. So different and opposite operation. But there's a fraction. If you want to keep this fraction, you don't want to change the value. If you want to keep it equivalent to the new one, you have to multiply numerator to the same number, same complex quantity as well. So basically, you're multiplying by this fraction, just 7 plus 4i, and 7 plus 4i numerator and denominator. And then the result is going to be I'm going to start with the denominator. It's difference of squares, like this term that I just explained. So it's going to be a squared minus b squared. What is a squared? 7 squared minus b squared. What is b? B by itself is 4i. All of that to the second power. So that's what we're going to have in the denominator. And then in numerator, we just have to FOIL again. So this, I'm going to write it, and then on the next step, I'm going to FOIL it. So see, to FOIL this, I'm going to do this binomial by this binomial. So it's going to be 3 times 7. It's going to be 21. 3 times 4i, it's positive 12i. 2i times 7 is going to be plus 14i. And 2i times 4i is going to be 8i squared divided by. Now, what is the denominator? The denominator is 7 squared, which is 49, minus 4i squared. That's same as 4 squared I squared. I'm doing it step by step, so pay attention. Now, some of these i's can be simplified, right? I squared is what? This term is going to be I squared is equal to rad negative 1 times rad negative 1, which we learned earlier, that's equal to just negative 1. So if this is negative 1 times 4 squared, that's going to be 16, and this negative and this negative together becomes positive. Okay, so in denominator, I'm going to have 49 plus just 16, because it's 4 times 4 is 16. 4 squared is 16. When you do conjugate, remember, at the end, you have, for this complex numbers, it's going to turn out to positive, because this I squared is going to be negative, and negative times negative, always you should have here positive. So that's about the denominator. And numerator, we have 21 plus, these two can be combined, 12i plus 14i is 26i. plus, not this color, plus 26i. And then the next one, this is I squared, which is -1 again. -1 times 8 is going to be -8. So it's going to be minus 8. Again, that's going to simplify to 21, this terms, minus this. 21 minus 8 is what? 13. Plus 26i divided by, what is that? 565. So this is final, but we want to simplify it into this form, a plus bi. So this 65 is for both of those, 13 and 26. Both of these are divided by 65. So I'm going to separate them. I'm going to say 13 over 65 plus 26 over 65i. If it is possible to simplify each one of these fractions, we do it. If it's not, just leave it like that. Now this is in that form. It's a plus bi.